Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for joining me today. Today's webinar is going to be short and sweet, but we're going to pack a lot of value into it. We're going to get you prepared to leverage YCharts on your iPad as you're getting ready to get back out into the field. For those of you who I have not had the chance to work with yet, my name is Kyle Gears. I'm a Senior Customer Success Manager here at YCharts, and I support all of our asset management relationships. It's my job to ensure that all of our users are leveraging YCharts to engage with their clients, communicate effectively, and win assets. During today's webinar, we're going to talk a little bit about the whole idea of getting back out in the field. I know everybody is excited to do so. I've been hearing slowly but surely it's starting to happen. Even heard that one of the larger wires recently has approved meetings outside of branches or outside of offices and even client events. So we want to get you prepared with YCharts to leverage on your tablet and make sure that those conversations are impactful. As far as hardware today, I'm going to be using the iPad Pro. And one of the things that I highly recommend with your iPad is going to be a keyboard. And this is basically a case that has a keyboard attached. It's going to make your life a lot easier as you're navigating not only YCharts, but anything day to day. It's going to better the experience and make it a lot easier to type things out, whether that's an email or searching for tickers within YCharts. The other piece of hardware that I highly recommend is going to be an adapter. So it's something like this. One end attaches to the iPad. It's a lightning cable input, and then the other end is for an HDMI connection. Hopefully, the advisors that you're working with do have at least an HDMI connected to their displays, because in the event that you're sitting down with an entire team, an investment committee, a larger group, maybe a luncheon, it allows you to display and communicate that not only to one person just across the table, but an entire group. So always a great idea to have that in the bag as an additional piece of support that you can leverage when you are working with larger groups. So as far as the setup and the basics go, we want to make sure that everything is seamless when you're using YCharts. We don't want you fumbling around or getting caught up anywhere. So I'm going to share with you some basic setup tips and tricks, which are going to ensure that you're successful in leveraging the platform on your iPad, on your tablet, when you are in those face-to-face type scenarios. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is mirror the iPad so you can follow along with every step that I'm making. All right, so now everybody should be able to see what I'm seeing on the iPad. And first and foremost, YCharts does not have a dedicated app. We are accessed through Safari or Chrome, whatever your preferred browser is. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, why isn't there an app? Apps a lot of times can be confusing, downloading them, hitting firewalls, not remembering your Apple ID. So we access everything directly through the website. It's quick, it's easy, and all you'll need to do is simply go to YCharts.com to access that through your browser. From here, you'll sign into your account in the upper right-hand corner. So enter in your YCharts credentials, as well as your password, and you're in. The dashboard is going to look the same. Everything's going to have the same look and feel. You'll notice here up top, for those that don't have the larger iPads, you see where data, tools, and support is in that black toolbar. If it is a smaller screen with a smaller resolution, those three items are going to be rolled up and tucked away in the upper right-hand corner. It's going to be next to your name. It's going to give you what oftentimes is referred to as a hamburger icon. So it's basically three bars stacked on top of one another. You'll click that, or tap that, I should say, and it'll expand to data, tools, and support. Now, in terms of accessing YCharts quickly and easily, one tip that I want to share with you is the ability to actually have access to it through an icon on your homepage. So if you go to this icon in the upper right-hand corner, it looks like a square with an arrow coming up the top. You'll have the ability to add to home screen, and this can be any page within YCharts. If you want to open up a chart as that your starting point, or if you want to use the dashboard as your starting point, choose that and then add it to your home screen. You can label it whatever you'd like, or you can just keep it simple and click add. Now, what does that do? As you can see here on the right-hand side, the last icon in that row, I now have my YCharts icon. I click on that and boom, it opens up within YCharts within a second. Another quick tip here, as I'm entering in the credentials once again, make sure that you're remembering yourself on the device so you don't have to sign in every time you open up YCharts. Now let's talk a little bit about what's going to be effective in meetings. One of the quickest and easiest ways to access information is through the search bar up at the top of the page. So if we jump into that search bar, we have the ability to pull up tickers on the fly. So if an advisor tosses out a ticker at you, maybe it's a competitor that you don't know much about, you can simply add that in the search box, pull it up, and have a thorough discussion on that particular product. Going back to my point earlier on the keyboard, here's where that comes in handy. If you did not have the keyboard, you're going to have the touchscreen keyboard taking up about half the screen. So really comes in handy having the ability to leverage the keyboard outside of the actual display. Let's go ahead and just use SPY as an example. Let's say we want to pull some data on it. I'm just dragging my finger down on the page here to access all of the information about that particular product. I scroll up to the top. One of the most helpful items here, especially in a face-to-face scenario for a quick comp, is going to be our reports. So in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see the reports function. You tap on reports here, and it's going to allow you to make a quick comparison. I'm going to go to my comparison reports, which allows me to compare two products. Since we're looking at equity here, I'm going to use the side-by-side equity comparison. Click start, add in a competitor that I'd like to match up against. Click next. I can actually add the advisor's name here if I'd like. If I ultimately would like to send him this document, majority of our clients have the ability to send these to advisors with a custom disclosure. So I'll just go ahead and click generate, and that's going to populate my report. So now I have this nice clean looking report that I can skim through. And once again, I'm just dragging my finger to page through it, everything from performance to allocations, exposure, etc. Let's say the advisor wants the report sent to him. What we can do is we can quickly and easily, using this icon in the upper right-hand corner, that square with the arrow coming out of the top of it, tap on that, and if your email is synced up on your iPad, you can simply tap the mail icon, and that'll actually send that report directly to the advisor quickly, easily, and seamlessly. Let's go ahead and jump back here to the site. The next area that I want to tackle is fundamental charts. Fundamental charts make for a great interactive conversation, so it's definitely something that you're going to want to pull up live in meetings. For fundamental charts, I'm going to go to the tools dropdown and then fundamental chart. Now, you can, on the fly, add tickers if you want to make those comparisons. So we'll go ahead and pop in a couple there. One recommendation on the fundamental chart when you are using your iPad is use the presentation view. Flip that on. So you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between presentation view off, presentation view on. You can see it'll clean up the look a little bit and it displays that beautifully. So very easy to understand, cleans things up a little bit for the advisor to see the difference in performance. But what I would recommend is saving down these charts. So rather than building things out on the fly, if you don't want to get caught up or fumbling around, you know your sales stories, you know your sales ideas. Save those down prior to the meeting and open them up. A couple ways to do so. One, another advantage of being web-based, you can actually bookmark this page. So what you can do is through the drop down at the top of the page, you can bookmark. You can also save down directly. So if I were to come down here and type in SPY versus QQQ, you can always go ahead and come back to that. Within the fundamental chart, if you want to access, let's say we jump back out here and we want to go back to our chart, we're going to go to Tools, Fundamental Chart, and open up exactly what we saved. So we'll go to our Open dropdown. I usually like to sort by date modified, and here we go. We now have that chart that we built and we prepared. A lot of times you're going to run into issues with offices that have spotty Wi-Fi or don't have great connections. What do you do in that event? You can actually save down or download that particular chart. So what I recommend there is going to your export function, download image. Save image, and that's going to go ahead and get saved down within your device. So if we want to go and we want to find that, let's say we save that down at a later date, we want to go ahead and access that. We're going to go back to our main screen, or if you have it in the toolbar down below, click on your file folder, jump into downloads, and you should be able to access that within that download section. The other route that you can go is, like I said, you can bookmark that particular page. So if we go back here, we open up that SPY versus QQQ chart. We hit that same icon that we've sort of been relying on quite a bit, the square with that arrow coming out of the top. You can add a bookmark. And with the bookmarks, I recommend naming those something unique. So rather than just fundamental chart, we want to highlight what that chart actually encompasses. So we'll just call it SPY versus QQQ. We save it down. Now that's accessible through a bookmark. And go to your bookmark, favorites. Let's say we're on a different page. Simply hit that bookmark, and that exact chart is there for us because everything is sort of tied to the hyperlink. So another way to be able to save that information down, ensure it's easily accessible so you're not caught up or not tripped up as you're going through those steps. Then one more example, we'll just go back to that download image because I didn't fully get there earlier. So let me just show you where to find that. Export, download. You should see that in your file folder. Everybody's file folder is going to be a little bit different, but you can save in different folders. You can categorize them, however you want to organize that on your own device. And then the last thing that I want to share with everybody is the scenario where you might not have anything prepared. Let's say you're going in to meet with an advisor and they might want to discuss equity. You know that, so you're not planning on talking about any of your fixed income products. However, toward the end of the meeting, you have a couple minutes and they say, hey, I might shift around my fixed income sleeve. I'm looking at lowering the duration of my portfolio. Let's take a look at what you have available versus a couple competitors, or here's what else I'm considering. In that event, I highly recommend leaning on quick flows, because what quick flows does is it builds out these different comparisons for you. It takes you from point A to point B, minimal time and effort, and it keeps the momentum of the meeting going. It keeps a fluid workflow. So what you do is you'd simply add in any tickers that you want to compare, and we'll just keep it simple with high-level ETFs that track indices. You can go from a performance chart, which that automatically is built out for you. You can jump around and look at different time frames, but that's not the full story. You might want to talk about credit quality or fixed income sector exposure. Quick tip here, I'm going to tap on this double down arrow next to metrics, and that collapses the list of items because I have those same items in the table. I have the headers in the table. So now we're talking about credit quality. So it's almost like I had my own sales idea built out, but the site's doing all the work for me. So I want to go to returns. We can do that. Tax adjusted returns, upside, downside. So there's a lot of different quick flows that you can lean on or leverage within this particular workflow. So as far as everything that I covered today, that should give you a good base for leveraging YCharts on your iPad or tablet. If you set up things like the easy access on the home page or favorite save down charts, you're going to be set up for success with these advisor meetings once you get back out there and hit the field. So once again, make sure that you take the time to set these up. It's going to make your life a lot easier, and excited for everybody to get back out there and start leveraging YCharts. With that, we'll go ahead and fire up the Q&A for any questions that might have popped up throughout the demonstration. If anybody has any questions, feel free to use the module on the toolbar for the Q&A and fire away. Got a quick question in regards to quick flows. How do we access quick flows? So my apologies if I was moving a little fast on that. I'll go ahead and fire up the screen share once again on the iPad. So give me just a moment to get this going. There we go. So quick flows are going to be accessible on every single page of the site aside from the dashboard. It's the only page that you won't see quick flows. There is a good chance that the Zoom module might be covering where I'm accessing quick flows. It's on the right-hand side of the page toward the middle. We actually recently rolled out a change to the user interface, so it now highlights quick flows in blue. So you should see that on the right-hand side, quick flows option in blue, kind of highlighting it on my screen here. Tap on that, and you have your single quick flows and comparison quick flows. All right, the detail must have been thorough, so no other questions, it appears. Happy to hang out for a couple more minutes for any further questions that anyone might have. Once again, feel free to add those to the Q&A app within Zoom. Happy to take anything else that might come to mind. If you did miss any of the beginning of the webinar, the recording should be sent out after we wrap up and download the webinar itself. Another quick question on reports. So the reports are going to be located on individual ticker pages. So go ahead and type in the search box up top. If you can kind of see where I'm hovering over, or see where my cursor is in that black toolbar, type in any one of your tickers. I usually recommend starting with your own ticker first because it's going to slot it in as the first item on the report, which psychologically, that always works best. But you're going to pull it up, and it's going to bring you to the quote page. Once the quote page is up, you'll see reports in the upper right-hand corner. So I'm kind of highlighting it right now. Upper right, you'll simply tap on that reports button. Comparison reports are going to be the most useful because that allows you to compare your product versus a competitor. You have multiple reports in terms of the type. They're all essentially the same structure. It's all a matter of what information is included and how much. So the side-by-side equity is what I ran on the example because I just did a simple comparison between SPY and QQQ. So I'll select that and click next. Now it's going to ask me which competitor I'd like to compare against. We'll add QQQ in there, click next, and here we're prompted to add in cover page data. So we can add in the advisor's name. Your name is going to populate in the prepared by field. Your organization can be added, your phone number, as well as the URL. The URL is just a website for more information on the fund or fund family. And then if you click generate, that's going to produce the report for you. So you have this very nice, clean looking PDF that you can kind of skim through and display to the client. And then once again, if you do want to send that out, upper right-hand corner, you have that little box with the arrow. You can choose the email option, and that'll package that up in an email, granted your email is synced up with your iPad. You can also download the report too, or it's automatically downloaded, I should say. If you go to the same button here, you can save it to your files in your download folder and have it available if you need it. And once again, if you don't have access in an office that you're going in or an area that you're going to. Another question came in regards to if we're finding an increase in FAs subscribing to YCharts and if any other firms offer YCharts as part of the FA's workstation. There are a couple relationships that we have. You might be able to find those publicly available. We do have certain agreements or partnerships with certain BDs, but you'll notice that advisors, even in the wires, are picking up YChart subscriptions. So you should be seeing it more and more. We're doing a great job of catering to the advisor right now, especially with things like model portfolios where they're able to manage models across different risk types for clients. And it's a great way for them to communicate with their retail clients as well. So we have seen an uptick. We continue to do so, and we're continuing to work on building those relationships. All right, guys. Well, it looks like that's it for the questions. Once again, thanks for attending. I hope everybody found this quick refresher on the iPad functionality helpful. If anybody has any questions on anything that was covered today, or even on the more technical stuff like the adapter that I spoke on, feel free to ping me. It's just Kyle@YCharts.com, KYLE@YCharts.com. Happy to answer any questions, guide you in the right direction, and continue to support you and ensure that you're using the platform successfully.